In 1981, Ronald Reagan became president, and then he started deregulating everything. He had this idea that if you help rich people make more money, then the benefits will trickle down to ordinary people and everybody will get richer. Well, it turns out that's not true. In their book Power and Progress, Daron Acemoglu and Simon Johnson, two economists from MIT, explain why. First, just because factory owners are making more money doesn't mean that they'll pay their workers more. In econ speak, you would say average labor productivity isn't the same thing as marginal labor productivity. Average labor productivity is how much stuff you're making divided by how many workers you have, and marginal labor productivity is if you add one more worker, how much more stuff do you make? Workers get paid based on marginal labor productivity because that's the value of hiring one more worker, right? If you're going to make 3 more widgets by hiring one more worker, then you'll be willing to pay that worker the cost of 3 more widgets. In a world where you have really high average labor productivity and really low marginal labor productivity, you'll get factory owners making a bunch of money and workers making very little money. And that's the world you get when you have lots of labor-saving technology. If you have a factory where the machines do all the work and there are just a few people to supervise the machines, average labor productivity is really high because you only have a few people, but marginal labor productivity is really low because what do you do with extra people? They just get in the way. The other reason why making more stuff doesn't result in everybody getting more stuff is because sometimes workers don't have the bargaining power to ask for that stuff. Now, for an extreme example of this, take the Deep South in the United States before the Civil War, right? Well, there were these really, really rich plantation owners, and they were making a ton of money, and so why weren't their workers making money? Well, because they didn't have any bargaining power. If you were a black slave on one of these plantations and you went to your master and asked for more money, he would laugh in your face, he might whip you, and it wouldn't be good. In a lot of jobs today, you have a less extreme version of the same thing, right? So if you work at Walmart and company policy is to pay everybody $10 an hour or whatever, if you go to your boss and ask for a raise, he'll just be like, company policy is $10 an hour. And if you don't like it, you can quit, but they can replace you with somebody else, so you don't have any leverage over them. In the 1950s in the United States, you had the perfect storm for society with a thriving middle class because A, you had technological innovations that meant big corporations needed more workers, right? That was the time where Detroit was super powerful and you needed all these workers to go and work on the assembly line to make cars. And then also workers' rights were at an all-time high, right? You had union-friendly laws, unions were really strong, and people could bargain for reasonable salaries. Acemoglu and Robinson's point is that you usually don't get this perfect storm, right? Usually one of these conditions is not present. And you especially won't get this perfect storm if you leave it in the hands of rich people to determine the direction that technology goes in, because they're going to set things up so that they need fewer workers and that workers have fewer rights. And you can't always solve this problem with unions, because unions can fight for bargaining power, but they can't fight for worker demand, right? They can't make corporations want to hire more people. Therefore, if we want to make sure we live in a good world, we have to control the direction of technology. But the problem with this is that it's really, 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 really hard to control the direction of technology, right? So right now, everyone's saying, AI might kill everybody. Even if it doesn't kill everybody, it's going to take a bunch of jobs, and so we need to do a moratorium on AI research. We need to stop doing AI research for 6 months. And the problem with that is, how do you prevent somebody from doing AI research, right? Imagine that the government said, okay, we're going to do a moratorium on AI research. And then I said, no, I don't want to stop doing AI research. And so I took my computer to some cave in the middle of nowhere, and I started doing AI research without telling anybody. How is anybody going to stop me? Now try doing that with every single possible technology that could be invented. Most government regulators aren't creative enough people to imagine the sorts of technologies that might be invented. Even science fiction authors usually aren't creative enough to figure out the technologies that are going to be invented, right? Everyone said we're going to have flying cars in the future, and instead we got the internet. Trying to control the direction of technology is like trying to grab 10 invisible tigers by the tail all at once. I think it's way more effective to give people the skills to deal with the new direction that the world is going in rather than trying to change the direction. So thanks for watching Theo's Book Club. If you're new around here, my name's Theo. I make brief videos like this one going over the big ideas in the books that I read so that you can learn everything I learned and so you can decide, do I want to read these books for myself? If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. That tells YouTube, hey, this is a good video, we should show it to more people. I would greatly appreciate that. You can also hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these book summaries pop up in your feed. Until next time, have a great day, and be ready for anything.